My sketchbook sits at the corner of my desk and judges me. It silently judges me from across the way just because I don't pick it up as much as I want to. I have a draw to it, but then I don't know what it is, but like I just stop and I don't go for it and I don't work in my sketchbook. So here's how I'm getting over my sketchbook fatigue. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Liz, and I'm an artist, and recently it's taken me 3 years to fill a sketchbook, and I don't want that to be the case for a sketchbook I just started, I want to say 2 months ago. So I'm going to try to create some better habits of working in my sketchbook so I get over sketchbook fatigue and then just gravitate towards my sketchbook more to build a habit of going for it instead of just carrying it around everywhere and not using it, because that's what ends up happening. I always bring it because I'm like, oh, might use it, and I don't use it. I don't know why, I just don't, but I want to, so I'm really trying to push myself to work through my sketchbook. So first things first, to get over my sketchbook fatigue is to actually open my sketchbook with the intent to work in it. For this, I am going to block out 30 minutes minimum to 2 hours, 2 to 3 times a week. I think this is like a really nice middle ground to stay in with just kind of creating a habit of going for my sketchbook. And if I am like not in the mood, I just give myself some time to try and get some things done. 30 minutes I think is a really great time to start getting into a good flow state and get warmed up drawing, and then from there at least I know if I block out more time, I have more time to sit and explore and draw through my sketchbook. And then if not, I can just cross it off. Like, I did 30 minutes, I tried, nothing good was working out for me, so I'm moving on. Another thing I'm doing is starting with images that I've already kind of curated for things that I like working with and things that I like drawing. I stay taking pictures of just like things that inspire me day to day. Like, I go around and when I'm on a walk, when I'm out and about, I have photos from nature that I've taken in different landscapes of like the shadows merging and interacting with the environment in weird ways, or just like the interesting patterns that they're making. So I've already like curated reference photos for myself of like the images that I like working with, and then I think that helps narrow down all the possibilities. Like, I already have just like a catalog of things I can pull from that are my own reference. I just kind of scroll through the camera, scroll through my album that's like all my reference photos, and then from there I can pick some things. Another thing that really holds me back sometimes, I think, is the color of the page. So for this first drawing, I'm going to color everything with just like a soft yellow, so it already has some sort of texture. And I think working from a texture and a toned page already, like, eliminates the preciousness of a white page. Like, it's already got something there, and then I can always add from it. So I'm drawing just like a really quick, loose sketch with colored pencils. Is my first drawing just to get me moving and warmed up to draw. So I think starting with something really, really low stakes and just something to get me moving, working in my sketchbook. If I just kind of like scratch the surface, make a little weird thing first, that way I can get the weird stuff out of my system, and then keep going through the pages, and then hopefully draw something that is a little bit more interesting, or something that I'm like really drawn to. But I think starting with something low stakes and like really quick and loose helps just kind of get the initial starting out of the way, and then from there you can always get better or just kind of like adjust how you're working. The next spread of pages, I'm working from an orange rectangle that I screen printed in my sketchbooks a few weeks ago. The page before had a yellow screen print that I worked from and created a pencil drawing on top of it. I really like the interaction of the screen print and color pencils, or the screen print and just mechanical pencils, so I'm going to try to recreate something similar. But there's like a different texture from the screen print surface than the page, so there is like this slight adjustment in color that I'm really drawn to. So I'm going to use that drawing I think I did that Monday, and then try to create something similar with this orange rectangle. As I'm working, I realized I liked that rectangle shape interacting with the page, and then kind of breaking from that rectangle with the elements I'm drawing on top of it. So for this next page, I'm going to draw another rectangle shape, but I'm going to do oil pastel because that's what I have on hand, and I think I can get like a lot of color down quicker than like scratching with a colored pencil. And I'm also going to use a 6B pencil instead of a mechanical pencil because I'm not sure how the mechanical pencil would work. It seems like it might be too soft for the texture of the pastel, so I'm going to go for like a 6B pencil because the graphite's a little more kind of chunkier, looser, and I think that would interact a little bit more with the texture of an oil pastel. What I learned from this page was that I like the texture of pencil on the flatness of a screen print instead of the oil pastel, even though like I like the way of working with the rectangle and then interacting from there and like building off from the rectangle. I don't like the texture of the oil pastel instead of the screen print. So I think I'm going to screen print some more flats of color into my sketchbook to work from, and I think I'll also probably like maybe screen print like almost the whole page, just like kind of create like a larger rectangle to fill the whole page and then work from there. And I think that will help tone all my pages so that I feel kind of like excited to draw in them, since I found this like weird little way of working. She came up for it and I didn't want her to not have any, but I don't even know if she drank any. My last drawing that I'm working on is like a rough sketch of something I'd like to spend more time with. I'm making a rough sketch and playing with like the composition of a drawing. This is from a photo reference of a parking garage where the dappled light is like really bubbly and round, and that was why I was really drawn to it, just kind of interacting with that environment. And I think what I want to do with this is have some more graphic lines and then some spots of color, which then I would create into a screen print design. But I just wanted to get the composition kind of laid out on page and just kind of mess around with that first, and then I can go back and like draw a little bit more and maybe scale it up a bit, because like this is like a little smaller than what I'd want this to be. I think I want to get more details of like what the cracks in the sidewalk, or the ivy and vines kind of like twirling and interacting with itself. But from the small scale, I feel like I can't get that. So this is just kind of like a mock-up of something bigger. So my plan is to continue using these like tips and tricks that I have implemented for myself to hopefully complete my sketchbook by the end of the year. I only have like literally like three, maybe 4 spreads completed in the sketchbook, and I have the rest. But I think the rest of the year is like a good timeline to give myself to fill the sketchbook, and then that would mean I filled a sketchbook in a year instead of 3, which is like what I'm looking for. But I'm also looking to build a habit of gravitating towards my sketchbook and working through ideas in my sketchbook. I think that would just help with translating imagination to reality, and then also like knowing the limits that like your hand has versus your imagination and reality has. So I think that will really help me. But I want to just like get in the habit of going for a sketchbook, working in a sketchbook, and then just like completing it, because I think it's like a nice archive to have of like, oh, this is all the things that I've kind of been thinking about and working through the year, or however long it takes you to fill a sketchbook, because I feel like you can see so much progression from the page 1 to the end of the pages. And then the key to like really seeing that progression is staying consistent, which is something I struggle with and I'm trying to get better at. So I think scheduling 2 to 3 times a week for myself, at least 30 minutes, is like enough for me to like start going. And I'm hoping that I maybe have to do like a few weeks of that, and then I wouldn't have to schedule that time in. I would just have the habit and just gravitate towards my sketchbook, and then I will have a good routine of it. And it's my hope and it's my goal. If you are someone who also struggles with sketchbook fatigue and sketchbook anxiety, hopefully this helps you think about ways that you can implement either block timing for working in your sketchbook, limiting your materials, limiting your reference photos, like simplifying just some of the things that make the process overwhelming, that will help you navigate sketching and building routines in your sketchbook. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. See you on the next one. Bye.